The church that we love, the church of which we are a part, finds itself, and we find ourselves, now in a time of sadness and crisis. The Pennsylvania grand jury report has given us a tragic picture of the enormity of sexual abuse in the recent history of the church over the last 7 decades. It has shown us what that abuse looks like, and it has also illustrated for us very painfully the ways in which it has been mishandled, at least in many cases. Many of you feel sadness. Some of you feel outrage and anger, and some of you are simply bewildered. You feel as though your faith is shaken. As a leader of the church, as one who is your Archbishop, I come before you to say how deeply saddened I am, and to offer you my sincerest apology. I know apologies are not enough, but I would at least like to begin there. I'd at least like to say that not only myself, but talking to many of my brother bishops, we simply need to take ownership with what has happened. The other reality that I'm keenly aware of is that it has opened wounds of the many, many people who have been victimized by those who minister in the church's name. The after effects, the wounds of sexual abuse, I realize do not heal easily, and the revelations that have come in these recent weeks have opened those wounds in a lot of people. And so to those who have been victimized, to those who live with this, who suffer with this, who suffer the long-term consequences of this, I surely offer you my sympathy, my love, and my oneness with you in prayer. All of this has also undermined the trust of many, many people in church leadership, in the church itself, and sadly, in some cases, in all that the church believes and teaches. And so it is so important, first of all, that we bishops recognize that we are facing a crisis of trust, not only in our leadership, but in the church itself. I think we all have to begin at the same place. Where we have broken trust, we have to admit that we have broken trust. Where we have betrayed our calling, that is to say, we bishops and priests, we have to admit that we have betrayed our calling. If we want to restore trust, we have to work hard to earn trust. And I realize that's not something we'll do in a day or a month or maybe even a year. This is something that we have to pray about, work at, and earn over a long period of time. There has to be trust that when we commit to handle the most difficult things in the life of the church openly and transparently, we will do so. There has to be trust that our word is good. There has to be trust that the church is sincere and loving in reaching out to victims. There has to be trust that there is an ongoing effort to build a safe environment in the life of the church, and an ongoing effort to ensure that all those who minister in the church's name, we have a lot of work to do in restoring trust. One of the ways that trust has to be restored is accountability. That is to say, being responsible to the whole church. And accountability in this instance rests squarely on the shoulder of us bishops, on me, your bishop. I'm certainly accountable to the Holy Father, but I am also accountable to you, to God's people. And so in the exercise of my office, in fulfilling my responsibilities, I need to demonstrate to you, not just now in a time of crisis, but in an ongoing way, that I am fulfilling my office responsibly, with integrity, with energy, with love, and with true care for you, God's people. Pope Francis frequently speaks against clericalism. Well, clericalism is rampant when we are unwilling to hold one another accountable because we simply want to be comfortable with one another. We need to be holding one another accountable. But we also need the laity to hold us accountable. We have to be accountable to the whole church. Again, there is work to do. I hope it is of some small comfort that I recognize this. But I think there are ways we can come together, perhaps as never before, to be able to restore trust, to increase accountability, and to introduce reforms that will truly be life-giving to our church, to each of you, and to your families. I ask you, please, to pray for me. I ask you to hold me up in prayer, whether you agree, disagree, whatever you think of me. The one thing I know I need are your prayers. I surely do promise you my prayers, but more than prayers. I promise you that I will do everything I can to address the root causes of what has brought us so much sadness in these days. God bless you. God keep you always in his love.